Upgrade your classic game room to CGR Hyper Mark III. Banished from Earth, classic game room broadcasts from the intergalactic space arcade on its never-ending mission to review everything. Welcome to Classic Game Room for the review of Astro Flash on the Sega Mark III, which features a transforming robot that has racing stripes and the shovel laser. Good times. Transforming robot, racing stripes, and the shovel laser, sign me up. But before you buy Astro Flash, you can also pick this game up as TransBot for the Sega Master system, which is an amusing title, but not nearly as awesome as the packaging artwork for TransBot. Google that. Wait, no, I'm sorry, this is Classic Game Room. Netscape that. And if that fails, use your Sega Dreamcast web browser. What we see on screen now is a mighty transforming robot with the shovel laser that literally shovels enemies off the screen. I love this thing. Best weapon in the game. TransBot. It's a great combination of Transformers and GoBots. Astro Flash is a much better title, released on a Sega My card for the Sega Mark III. I actually really like the artwork for this game on the cartridge, and this could be described as the spiritual prequel to Sega's Aero Flash, released to the arcades and on the Sega Genesis, which also features a transforming robot. But that transforming robot doesn't have what could only be described as awesome racing stripes. Look at the color palette here. Brown robot, orange and green racing stripes. Or at least orange and green highlights. It's amazing. If I had control over the color editor, that's pretty much what I would do. I might give it more yellow, in addition to the brown and orange. The scrolling landscape is quite interesting. The city in the background looks like a fun place to visit, but you'll never see it because you're too busy flying right shooting enemies. Astro Flash is a very simple, straightforward game. In addition to flying a brown transforming robot, its best feature is the roulette wheel weapon power-up system, where after you shoot that fan it releases a power-up, you collect that and then select your weapon in its very own minigame within the game. C is the best because that's the shovel laser. B will give you the ring laser, whatever, from Gradius. D is a super laser. That's kind of slow, not the best weapon. E is a spread shot. A, which I just got there, is the crappy default laser, and G will replenish your ammo. So it's a neat trick because you don't always get the weapon that you want, which would always be the shovel laser. See, now if I had the shovel laser there, that would have been no problem. I still haven't figured out how the game determines when you move to level 2, but at some point, you'll drop down into a pipe from Super Mario Bros. And fight the AT-ST from Star Wars. If that doesn't sell this game, I don't know what will. The bars at the top of the screen max out on the right. The arm is your ammunition, and the power level is your shield strength. You can take a couple hits. And as promised, here we have the end boss, or at least a mini-boss or a sub-boss, the AT-ST from Star Wars. No, the AT-AT is not in the game, sadly. Like most of the enemies in Astro Flash, it's not too hard once you figure out the shot patterns. Eventually, the game just wears you down. And that's when it gets you, racing stripes and all. Yes, take that AT-ST. Did you catch the music? Of course you did. It's okay. The whole game is okay. It's no better than that. But it's no worse either, provided you know what to expect. As you progress through Astro Flash, it just rotates and gets a bit more challenging as the screen fills with more and more enemies. At some point you'll slip up and make a mistake and lose, and then you'll play a different game. Aero Flash is a lot better. But I like that it doesn't just hand you weapon power-ups, it makes you select them with a bit of skill. And that's pretty clever because it really mixes up each game. No two games are ever the same. In fact, the enemy attacks are also pretty random. So there's a good degree of replay value in here if you can deal with the simplicity of Astro Flash. I always got my high scores with the shovel laser, obviously. It's called the shovel laser, and I named it that. And I've got a classic game room shout out and thank you going to my man Mark and his wife Suzanne from East Meadow, New York once again. Thank you, Mark and Suzanne. I thought this game would make a fun addition to Mecha March Madness since you play as a transforming robot, and odds are many of you have never heard of Astro Flash, so now you know. And knowing is half the brown transforming robot. Astro Flash can be found eBayably online. It's not too expensive, and you can also pick this one up as TransBot for the Sega Master system. I'll put a link at the end of the review to Aero Flash, which is a much better game in pretty much every respect, but this one has racing stripes. Here's what's new this week at the Classic Game Room Patreon. Packaging reviews of Donpachi and Dodonpachi for the Saturn. CGR Hyper Mark III reviews of Macross Ace Frontier, Earth Defense Force 2, and Gundam Breaker. The Classic Game Room secret review of Star Wars The Soap. Thank you for watching. Follow Classic Game Room on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon. If you liked this review, then you need to watch my review of Aero Flash for the Genesis. You'll love it. Welcome to the club. It's the Lord Carnage Club, where I give thanks to these backers on Patreon. Starting with Jim Moriarty, Sergio Matthias Hergert, Zach Brenner, Jason from Kamloops, British Columbia, Busy Signal, woo! Shadow Minion 4, Lord Carnage, Al Stiver, Sean Zoltek, nah, I'm just kidding, Sean Zoltek, Stephen Chucknick from New Jersey, Landon Ellerby, so Lando, Philip Straubenmuller of Vienna, Austria, Jack Stavros from Australia, Ohad Kane, Jeff, Captain Dauntless, Briar, Rick, DeBarros, Will, Kid Shuriken, and Chip Sankbale. See you next time on Classic Game Room. Mark III!